Do you know who is the best friend as well as the worst enemy as far as a student is concerned at examination time or in the run up to the examinations? Think about it. Think, I'll give you some time. Think about it. Who could really be your best friend as well as your worst enemy? That's right, it is sleep, because it is sleep that seems to be the most tempting indulgence that any student can actually indulge in when it is examination time in particular. But you know that every minute that you actually spend sleeping more than the required time duration of about 7 to 8 hours is actually a minute of your preparation time. So in that sense, very critical time that you are losing, right? So in this video, we are going to put on the table 10 easy tips to ensure your eyelids do not droop, especially when it is study time and your focus stays on studying. And I can guarantee you that these tips do work, right? These are time tested tips, so they do work. I can give you a guarantee. And some of these tips you may even be aware of, and many of you even may be practicing these tips. So do write in to let us know how well do they work for you and how well some of the new tips that you may not have used earlier actually work for you once you start implementing them, right? Point number one, never ever study while sitting on a bed. That's absolutely a no-no. You should in fact avoid even having a bed in your room if that's indeed possible, because it has to be a chair, and a chair which has a very firm back, not one of those very reclining chairs. It has to be a proper chair and a table. And as we slowly slip into winter, November, December, January, February, when it gets cold, especially in states in North India in particular, the temptation to study while sitting inside a quilt will be very high. But I can tell you that is a temptation you would do well to avoid in your own interest. So, because before you know, you will most likely be in a lying down kind of a posture, right? And very soon your eyelids will start to droop, right? So, avoid doing that. Have a chair and a table in your study room on where you will actually study. Point number two, in fact, as I said, the bed always tempts you to take a nap. So, preferably not have a bed at all in your room. The third point is that ensure that your room is well lit. This is something very important, because natural light gives a sense of a new kind of energy coming into your room. So, if it is possible, have as much of natural light streaming into your room, because when I was a student, I used to study with a table lamp, and I used to think that it really kind of helps me focus on my area of work, my domain, and this is the area that I need to focus on. It worked well for me, I have no complaints. But now studies have kind of revealed that when you have a table lamp kind of an atmosphere, the rest of the room obviously is dark. And that darkness is actually a bit of a temptation in order to lull you to sleep. This is what studies have shown now. So, a well-lit option is now thought out by many educators, many researchers as a better option as opposed to a table lamp on a study table kind of an option. Though, as I said, that's something which I worked with and it worked pretty well for me. Point number four, avoid a heavy dinner, especially if you're going to study till night, or if you're going to implement the 10-to-1 formula that I spoke about last month, right? So, a light dinner and preferably no coffee in the night, right? Because more than any energy drink or coffee, water is supposed to be a much better product in that sense, a better intake for your body, especially during study hours, because it keeps the mind fresh, it keeps you hydrated, it keeps you alert, and it also helps you keep awake. So, dehydration is what leads to fatigue, a sense of tiredness, and it leads to sleep, it induces sleep. So, if you are having water, it will keep your body and mind that much more fresh and hydrated. And what you could also do is to have a bowl of salad. You could have a fruit bowl like apples, oranges, depending on whatever the seasonal fruit is, and have that to eat while you are studying. That would in fact be a much more of a healthy food option along with water during your study hours, right? Because remaining healthy and providing the right kind of fuel to your mind and body is extremely important during your study hours. Point number 5, it's night time. Everyone at home is sleeping. It's also quiet outside and you would also obviously want to hit the bed. But the syllabus is pending. So what do you really do? Now, if you are feeling bored and if you are feeling tempted by the idea of going to bed, walk in the room. Especially if your room has enough space where you can actually walk 5 paces this side, 5 paces this side, right? Because that will not only help you stay awake, right? It will also take away some of the examination stress that you are going through. In fact, you could go a step further. If you have a balcony, a large enough balcony or a terrace preferably, you could actually walk around there and just try to revise what all you have studied in the study room the previous hour, half an hour, whatever be the time. You could stroll for about 5 to 10 minutes, inhaling the fresh air. That will really help, right? So, let the lungs feel the coolness and come back to your books once again. If you are feeling drowsy, you need to kind of up this act a bit. Stretch yourself. That's one option. Do a bit of skipping, right? Do a bit of exercise, right? Wash your face with cold water, right? I guarantee you it will drive away every bit of your sleep, right? Because once you exercise, it will get the blood going on in your veins once again and feel energized and fresh once again to go back to your book. So that's something which is a very good option for those who are kind of feeling tempted to go to bed at 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. depending on how long you want to study, how much of your syllabus is pending. Just reading, point number 7, just reading may actually only accelerate the process of feeling drowsy at night. You know, it may actually make you feel more sleepy. So what you should do is that keep some of your note making work for the night, right? Especially around that midnight 12:30, 1 a.m. zone where the mind tells you that, oh my God, you're working so hard, you deserve some rest. You know, you start taking, your mind is actually feeling sympathetic for yourself. So you could do that. Do some writing because that will need much more of focus and that will actually drive away your sleep and you will also feel productive. Or what you could do is to choose the right subject to study at that time of the night. For instance, mathematics is a very good subject to study in that time zone, the sleep zone as it were. Or solving numericals in physics, that's another good thing to do, concept to do at that time of the night. Do not try to study either history or geography at that time of the night because these are subjects which kind of, you know, can be a bit of a drag. So preferably I would suggest to you as someone who teaches these subjects that you should kind of look to study history, civics, geography either in that morning 10 to 12 to 1 o'clock kind of zone or in the evening time, very good time between 4:30 and about 8 o'clock. These two times would be much better to study these subjects instead of late in the night or even early in the morning, right? Especially if you are the type who may get up in the morning but once again start feeling sleepy. Now, another exercise you could actually indulge in, provided it does not disturb others, other members of your family who are sleeping in the other room, is to read aloud, right? That will not only help you process and absorb the information that much better, but will actually help you become more efficient as far as your entire revision process is concerned. Now, before the kind of age of WhatsApp and Instagram and all that kind of technological jazz, studying with friends used to be a fad. I am not too sure how well that will work now because if it is only going to push you to kind of keep looking at WhatsApp, कि तूने कितना पढ़ लिया, how much have you studied, how much have you covered, and be in that kind of a competing zone, I am not too sure how much it will really help, right? So you may only end up distracting yourself. So studying with friends, especially long distance, is not an idea I would strongly recommend. In fact, that would be a distraction. So you should in fact ensure that you stay away from any kind of technological gadgets except what may be necessary purely for the purpose of your studying or revision. You should keep everything away, preferably keep all notifications switched off. Point number 10, since you're talking about sleeping, right? The temptation to sleep. If you have already slept for 7 to 7.5 hours in the day, in the 24-hour cycle, there is no way you should feel sympathetic towards yourself and indulge yourself with more sleep, right? So you can tell your body and mind that, boy, you have already slept for 7.5 hours. You do not need any more sleep. Your quota for the 24 hours is actually over. So speak to yourself. Be strict with yourself. I'm not saying be over strict with yourself. Be strict with yourself that you need to finish off the task at hand, right? So don't overindulge your body and mind. I'm not saying be harsh on yourself, but at the same time, don't overindulge yourself also. So these are the 10 tips. Please write in to let me know how these worked for you, and I will be very keen to listen from you. This is really the time, as we are now going to step into the month of October. The final 6 months are what it counts. There are many students who are telling me that I have not studied anything so far. I wasted the lockdown period. No issues at all. If you are even able to hit the ground running now in the month of October, you will still be able to score pretty well in your final examinations in the month of end of February, March, right? Irrespective of which class you are in. So your time starts now, and for that, the first step is to be disciplined and regulate how many hours you actually sleep and how well you are able to use the remaining 16.5 hours of the day towards achieving and pursuing your goal. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you.